Goedemiddag, welkom. Ik ga er even vanuit dat het middag is. Ik ben inmiddels de tijd een beetje kwijt. Maar welkom weer bij een nieuwe uitzending vanuit onze studio Week van het Geld. En in deze live-uitzending, die is eigenlijk bedoeld voor professionals die werken in deze, hoe zal ik het zeggen, financiële wereld. Of die daar meer van willen weten. Want we gaan het hebben over het belang van financiële educatie. En tijdens deze uitzending praten we met een aantal mensen die vooral uit een ander land komen. Dus hebben we besloten om te switchen naar het Engels, want dat Nederlands dat gaat dan niet zo lekker. Dus vanaf nu ga ik ook in het Engels presenteren. Ik vind dat best spannend, maar ik ga gewoon mijn best doen. Welcome in the studio during this Dutch Money Week, and this program is made in cooperation with Aflatoun. And I hope I say it correct, Aflatoun. And today we are discussing financial education all over the world. With me today in the studio, we have an international panel, and let me introduce them to you. First of all, Bianca Insianku.
Yes.
Yes,
hello.
Correct.
Yeah.
Welcome here in the studio.
Thank you for having me.
You work for OECD.
Yes.
What does it stand for?
It's the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development.
Yes.
We are based in Paris. We are an organization that works with governments, and we support them to develop policies.
Yes, and you also organize the Global Money Week.
We organize the Global Money Week.
Exactly.
Yes.
We talk more about that.
Yes.
We also have Olaf Simonsen. You are... can I say the boss, or you lead money-wise?
Yeah, well, boss sounds a bit heavy, but my team is the MoneyWise team, and we organize the National Money Week.
Yeah.
For the 10th time this year.
10th time. That's a time for a party, or to celebrate. That
it's at least worth a celebration, yes.
Absolutely. And we have Roeland Monash. Welcome, Roeland. Welcome. You are CEO at Aflatoun International.
Correct.
Very nice to have you here. I think the first question should be, what is Aflatoun? And before we talk about that, let's watch this video.
In 1991, a group of children in India were having a class on how to handle money. This initiative needed a name. The children decided on Aflatoun, the name of their favorite Bollywood movie. Today, Aflatoun impacts millions of children and young people by developing educational programs that provide them with essential social and financial skills. The internationally recognized curricula have been successfully replicated and adapted to fit local needs and circumstances through our innovative social franchising model. With the help of a strong network of governments and partners, Aflatoun is inspiring children to believe in themselves, understand their rights, save money, and start small enterprises. Kukua from Ghana, for example, felt confident to set up her own business in designing and selling bags as part of the Aflatoun Club activities. She was able to explore her creativity, obtain practical skills, and learn about the workings of the market. She further engaged 7 other girls, which enables all of them to pay for their school fees and continue their education. Join our global movement and help us to empower children and young people like Kukua to take control of their own future.
What a wonderful organization. Really. Making amazing steps and meaning so much for people around the world. I mean, I can imagine. Roeland, how did Aflatoun started, and how long ago was that?
Yeah, we started about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
The harsh reality is that in most countries, in lower middle income countries, the large majority of children, boys and girls, don't understand money. They're basically completely financially illiterate. They really don't know the simplest questions about money.
Is that because they don't have it?
It's not just because they don't have it, it's just because it's not being taught in school. Nobody talks about it with them. They should learn it from their parents, but their parents don't really know about money. So, and the other harsh reality is that many of these boys and girls do not complete their secondary education. So their future is basically dropping out of school, not having a diploma, not getting a job with government or with companies, the corporate sector. They have to start their own business. But without any skills. So they basically become survival entrepreneurs. So at Aflatoun we realized we need to teach these children at a very early age, even before they drop out of school, the basics about money, so that as soon as they learn to read and count, we need to talk about money with them. So we basically said, let's make sure that as many children around the world as possible learn about money, responsible spending, responsible saving, etc. So that's why we're here.
That's why you're here, and that's a young age, I suppose, when you say children need, as soon as they learn how to count, and so that's, what is that, 6, 7, 8 years old?
We start as early as preschool.
Yeah.
But the most of the children we are reaching are primary and secondary school.
Yeah. All right. You just told us 15 years ago you started with Aflatoun. Can you see a lot of difference? What happened from year 1 until now?
Yeah, it's in 15 years ago when we started. People said talking about money in schools. It was like a dirty word. You don't do that. So unaccepted. It's something you discuss with your parents, and it's something within the households, and you don't share outside.
Okay.
We now see an enormous change. There's more and more recognition, and of course the COVID crisis has also realized that a lot of people didn't have the resiliency, the zelfredzaamheid. So there's an enormous uptake at the moment, and we are now more than 300 organizations, NGOs, schools, governments in over 100 countries which are using our material.
Great. And it's easier for people to talk about it now. It becomes easier.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, that's a great development. Bianca, what is your connection with Aflatoun?
Well, we organized the Global Money Week. That's also why I'm here. We work a lot on financial education. And I don't know how many of you know, but Global Money Week was born in the Netherlands. So let me say happy 10th anniversary to the Dutch Money Week. And
Thank you so much.
Happy International Aflatoun Day. So I would say that the Dutch Money Week and Aflatoun are a little bit like the big brother and sister of Global Money Week.
Ah, I see. Oh, and what do you do in the Global Money Week? Can you explain in a few sentences what it is that you do?
So Global Money Week is, you can think of it as the Dutch Money Week, but on a global scale. It's an awareness campaign about financial education and financial literacy for young people, how important this is. And basically we bring together different organizations from governments to partners from private sector, schools, young people, parents. We bring them all together, so we make them talk about financial education for young people, about money matters. We normalize this conversation. We make it so that nobody has fears when it comes to talking about money. We see that sometimes that happens, and we want to make it normal for people.
Yeah. And is that working?
I think so, yes, I think so. The campaign has grown a lot. It's been really amazing. And this year, although, of course, we have difficult times right now, many activities are happening digitally, but we have more than 100 countries that right now actually are participating in the Global Money Week. So that's really amazing,
that's
everywhere in the world.
Yeah. But you want it to become more than 100 countries.
Of course, yeah. We always want to involve more and more. We want to make sure that all young people have access to this sort of information and knowledge, because it's so important for them, especially nowadays.
Well, let's talk about the importance, Olaf. Why is it important to have organizations like Aflatoun?
Yeah, well, first of all, I must say I'm very impressed by the great work that Aflatoun and Global Money Week are doing, and I'm a bit humbled if I realize what luxury, if you will, we live in the Netherlands. Nevertheless, I see some parallels in challenges. Also in the Netherlands, there are children that are growing up in relative poverty. It's not comparable to growing up in Africa, but still you see a lot of financial worries. And although it has become more normal to talk about money by policymakers, we still see that a taboo is around the subject of money, especially when there are financial difficulties. So really our focus is on talking about money, bringing the conversation to the homes, first of all, but we need the classrooms. Because even in a country like the Netherlands, we see that there's a strong link between socioeconomic status and financial literacy. So especially the children that need to learn about money the most often don't have this conversation at home. And actually we're trying to do a kind, if you will, reversed education. So by having the conversation in the classroom, also reaching out to the children that don't get these competencies from the home, but also trying to involve parents in the education of children. So I think that is why it's very important, not only in the Netherlands, but on a global scale, to work on this, because these are competencies that are really life skills. If you really learn them at a long age, it's things that you benefit from throughout your entire life.
Yes, yes. This week we are giving a lot of attention on financial education here in Holland and worldwide. But for the people who don't live in Holland, maybe it's good for you to explain how our Dutch approach is. Maybe that's very different than other countries.
Yeah, well, it's nice to see that we couldn't have dreamt 11 years ago that National Money Week was going to be global. Actually, when we thought of National Money Week, we thought, well, there needs to be something done. As Roland just explained, talking about financial education in schools was like a curse 10, 11, 12 years ago. It still is to a certain extent right now, but we thought we need to do something to teach children about financial stuff in schools. We is in this case the Ministry of Finance. We sat together with a group of partners that we were working with and said we need to really collaborate on this. I think collaboration is, if I would summarize National Money Week in one word, it would be collaboration. So collaboration with public stakeholders, with private stakeholders. More and more you see local communities getting involved. So in Netherlands we now have between 30 and 50 local governments that have their own local Money Week. So we grew in two directions, if you will. National Money Week grew to local Money Week in more places and to European and global Money Week. And although we've achieved a lot, I think there's a long journey that we need to take.
Does this differ in any way from the approach of other countries, how we do it in Holland?
Well, I think, and I must congratulate Wijzen en Geldzaken. What you have done is fantastic here in the Netherlands. But we are seeing in a lot of countries, as Bianca is saying, over 100 countries, there are smaller Kims doing the same type of work, mobilizing people.
Smaller Kims, even smaller.
on television, on radio, and lots of events, visits to banks, all kind of innovative approaches to mobilize the communities.
You want to say?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I also want to say that it's important to keep in mind that financial education needs to be contextualized. It cannot.
What do you mean by that?
It cannot be that you take something and you put it everywhere the same, because it has to be adapted to the local context. It has to be adapted to the audiences. You have to adapt the way you deliver financial education. So of course there's going to be naturally differences between approaches of different countries, right? So Global Money Week is also very flexible in that way. But we've seen over the years that there are good practices that have emerged, and the OECD also adopted recently a recommendation on financial literacy, which basically touches upon the key elements of what we think successful financial education and literacy can be, and many of them are what Olaf mentioned, right? So collaboration, coordination, involvement of different stakeholders all together, working together, that is very important. But also the importance of really looking at what you're doing, measuring and evaluating if what you're doing is working, so that you can always improve. But definitely the Netherlands has been an example for many countries. I think a lot of countries are learning from what is happening here, so that's really
and that's
great.
a nice thing, because we are learning back now from what is happening in other countries. And one important thing that you mentioned is evaluation. I mean, when we started this journey, we just started somewhere, and we realized it's very nice what we're doing, but we don't actually know what the real impact is in someone's financial competencies, and even better would be to know what it does towards their entire career. Of course, that's very difficult to measure, but we started measuring more on what works, and we see that happening all over the world, and we are also adopting these lessons in the Netherlands as well. And that's one of the key things, is that you really need to teach children the things that they are ready to be taught.
Yes.
So it doesn't make, and you have to make it, it's not about knowledge only. That's also, I think, very key. So it's not about adding 2 10 cents and then you have 20 cents or about percentages only. It's also about experiences and attitudes. And that's why we, I said earlier, we shifted focus to really having a conversation in the classroom.
Yes.
How do you deal with your pocket money? What do you do when your friend sends you an app and says, I need 10 euros, can you please give it to me? So real life examples that children can relate to is, I think, very key as well.
I'm curious because you said we as Holland are also learning from other countries.
Yeah.
Can you give an example?
Well, the things that I just mentioned. So, how do you set up a successful financial education program? So, the contents of a program is something we learned from international research. So, shift focus from not only knowledge but also to experienced learning.
Yeah.
That's an area, but also adapt the content of what you're teaching to the context of that the children can relate to. So if you look at our materials now, you see situations in which children play a central role. So they do course for their grandparents and they earn a little bit of money with that. And we also introduced characters a bit based on what Aflatoun has been doing for over a decade. Introduced characters that everyone can relate to. So also different characters that play a role in the material, that have a name, that children can relate to, and that also grow up with the children. So
that's nice.
It's really about translating. It's more from a sender-driven approach. We want to teach you this, to what is it really that children need to know at a certain age.
Yeah.
And you said in the beginning, well, it starts at a very young age. Of course, you're not teaching a 6-year-old about health insurance, but you're laying the foundation for what is the value of money. How come that if I give you a coin, I get something in return? So very basic concepts that really you need in order to build upon in more complex topics.
I understand. And now Aflatoun is also active in Holland. What is it? What are you doing here?
Saying, what are you doing here?
Because,
first of all, our headquarters is in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam. But and we have been focusing on the lower middle income countries. However, you have been highlighting this entire week how important financial education in the Netherlands is for the children here. And we have been recognizing and getting requests in the Netherlands, and specifically the most vulnerable children. It's about the adeptness of the interventions as well. Global Money Week is a really great moment, one moment in the year, but some of these children need continuous hand-holding support in their financial management and education. So we have done some smaller interventions, for example with school dropouts, thuisblijvers, thuiszitters, where we have worked with them and really made a transformational change with them, where they suddenly became motivated again, where it's a combination of talking about money but also talking about your own future. And because we have a network in over 100 countries, we have been connecting them with children in other countries. For example, we had a group in Hilversum working on a monthly basis with children in Syria in very difficult circumstances. And they were inspiring each other so much that we've seen a lot of thuissitters here in the Netherlands learn about money, work together on projects, and actually went back to school.
Yeah, but that's wonderful.
Yeah. So, and we are increasingly now working with other entities, like for Gemeente Amsterdam has asked us to come into a number of schools. We become a member of the Alliantie of Kinderarmoede. So it's not that we are forcing ourselves in, but we're getting requests, and we feel that like any other child in the world, also the children in the Netherlands need to have this stuff.
Absolutely. But the reason why I asked it is because I thought, maybe we have already a lot of organizations or platforms here in Holland, but there is a need for more then. obviously.
Yeah, I think what we have specifically, what Olaf said, is this type of learning where we really focus on the teachers on to interact with the children in a different way, putting them at the center, and teachers facilitating that. It's not just talking about how money works, but it's on that process where you take these children through, which is quite a powerful concept of Aflatoun.
I want to discuss something with you because what I have learned this week is that in general in Holland we feel that the responsibility when it comes to financial education is both with the parents of the children and the school system. But I wonder, how is that in other countries in the world, Bianca?
Well, first of all, I agree, and I would say that the responsibility is actually of all of us to make sure that our young people are financially educated. Parents, of course, are, the first learning point for children. They learn from the children learn from their parents right from very early ages. We also know that behavior is formed quite early. Actually, research shows around the age of 6 or 7. That's also what Ronald was mentioning before. And we also know from research that children that talk about money with their parents at home, they have higher financial literacy levels. Okay. At the same time, we also need to remember that not all parents are ready or feel like confident to teach to their children about money matters, maybe because they themselves don't know a lot, maybe because they are in financial trouble, maybe because they are not confident about this topic. So that's why it's also so important that financial education is taught through the schools. So what we've seen, of course, is that there are countries which have developed programs for financial education for children and parents together, what Olaf was mentioning
that was my next question. Oh, that's great.
There are some examples.
So the parents also learn.
Yes, they are together, so they have to do also practical things together. They talk about money, they have experiential, let's say, activities that they do together. And we've also seen that financial education in schools has really become more and more important, and governments, policymakers have realized that, and many have started or have introduced financial education in school. Maybe not as a standalone subject, but many times it is like concepts that are introduced across other subjects. So for example, in math, in social sciences, in economics, you have financial literacy topics that the children can learn in school. Of course, this is difficult. It's a very difficult process. It has a lot of challenges, and it's not just about putting concepts in the curriculum. It's about implementation. It's about teaching the teachers. It's about developing the materials. So it's a long process. So that's why I would say it is important that everyone comes together and takes advantage of the opportunity that parents have to teach their children about money, the schools, but also organizations and occasions like the Global Money Week, like the Dutch Money Week, where everybody comes together and talks about these topics. And also, of course, other support. For example, tools like videos or games. This is a great example for children to learn about money through games, and also experiential learning. So everything is important, really. It's just a matter of really getting the conversation starting and getting the people engaged and interested about these topics, and learning slowly, like Olaf was saying.
Well, I have to say, I noticed that you are very engaged. You're super passionate about it.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
I've been also working in this since 2012, so I really love it. Yeah,
it's great to see that. Today is Aflatoun Day.
Yeah.
That has come to my understanding, at least. What is Aflatoun Day?
Aflatoun Day is actually it's our birthday, and we have decided to make every Thursday of Global Money Week the Aflatoun Day, because otherwise the dates sometimes scheduling.
Yeah.
And it's a celebration with children, among children, about money, saving, responsible spending. So it's really, like Global Money Week and Week van het Geld, it's mobilizing the children around this topic. And as we speak, in over 100 countries, we have children doing all kinds of activities with their teachers, with their communities on the event.
Wow, so I have to congratulate you then, actually.
Thank you.
It is wonderful.
Happy
day.
birthday.
Happy birthday. Yeah, happy birthday. And you celebrated by by actually the fact that all the children in the world are doing something active today with this.
And one of the nice things we've been doing way before the whole COVID thing is we're connecting children from schools from around the world through Skype and Zoom with each other.
Oh, that's
so we are sharing, children from Yemen are talking to children in Brazil, and children in Chile are speaking to children in China.
Yeah, how do they speak with each other?
They, one way or the other, it's hands, and you know how children play with each other without really, they communicate in a different way.
Wow.
So it's very powerful.
Fantastic. It also has come to my understanding there is some special project going on in Africa, in West Africa to be precise. Can you tell more about that?
We're very happy and honored that the National Postcode Lottery has offered us a special grant of €2 million to work in DR Congo, Kinshasa, Benin, and in Senegal to support 28,000 adolescent girls, who most of them dropped out of school already, to really help them get back on their feet, teach them about money. Some of them will go back to school, others will start their own business, but really building their own economic, financial resilience so that these girls have their own future and can decide on their own future.
Oh, we have some pictures here.
Secondly, the other point is, because we need to make sure that these girls have dropped out because they didn't know about money, basically. So we really need to invest in all children in these countries, and all 3 governments have invited Aflatoun to come and work with them to integrate financial education into the national education curriculum, so in the lessons in schools. So while we work with these 28,000 children, girls, at the same time we're also adapting their local lesson curricula so that all children going to school while they're still in school are learning these important skills as well.
How are the children there reacting? Is it easy for you guys to draw them back to school, or is there a struggle in a way?
For some of them it's not possible anymore, for others it is still, and actually many of these children, they need a little bit to pay for fees or school uniforms, and what we see is that if you give them the skills, they have the innovation to make some money to actually make sure that these fees are being paid together with the community members and can get back to school, yes.
I have a little surprise for you. I think so, at least. We have a Zoom connection with a very special person far, far away from the Netherlands. He is from Senegal, and his name is Mohamedou Badiaga, and he represents Aflatoun in Senegal. Hello, Mohamedou. Hello. Can you please talk one more time? We just want to check if the sound is right. No, not yet. Did you? You have to unmute, Mohamedou. Can you?
Yes.
Yes,
Sorry.
there you are.
It's fine?
Yes, it's fine. Welcome. It's lovely to have you on our live stream here in the studio. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you, and happy Global Money Week and Aflatoun Day to everybody.
Thank you.
I'm really happy to join you in this panel.
Yes, I have to congratulate you with the project. Why these 3 countries where this project is active?
Yes, well, I think that in Senegal and Benin, we see that government has committed to putting forward financial education as part of the regional strategy for financial inclusion in the Western African Monetary and Economic Union, WEAMU. And in this union, there are 6 countries plus Senegal and Benin under the leadership of the Central Bank of Western African countries. So they adopted the regional program for financial education, which aim to promote financial inclusion among youth people, especially under 24 years people. And in Senegal, again, government are in the wake of developing the national and financial and education and financial programs. And this project will help Aflatoun to support those governments who are already committed themselves to develop this the financial program at country level. And why DRC? We choose DRC also because the Central Bank of Congo has adopted the financial education program, which is under review by the government for validation. And Aflatoun already have an MOU with the Ministry of Primary, Secondary, and Technical Education to support integrating financial program into national curriculum there. And the project, we choose those 3 countries because also the commitment from the government to include financial education programming into national curriculum. And the project will help us to support this commitment in the 3 countries.
I see. And is this project, or are these projects already started, or are they going to start soon?
No, it is a new project, and it is going to be start next month. So it is a new one we are trying to implement starting from next month.
Oh, that's exciting. And how do you think the children will react to these programs?
I think that according to our experience in many countries, children really like to be in the center of financial education. What we saw for example, in Burkina Faso, where we did a project for financial education, children are requesting more programs for financial education because they are getting financial skills that can help them to be financially resilient. And we saw that they are really willing to start their own enterprises, to be financially free. And I think that in the 3 countries, children will really like to be involved in financial programs as there is a lot of demand for financial literacy.
Yes, yes. Would you like to say something else to Mohamedou?
No, Mohamedou, we're looking forward to work with you very soon.
Thank you, Roman. I'm really glad.
Great. It was lovely to have you on our show, Mohamedou, and all the best of luck with the projects.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow, that was nice. Was it a surprise, or did you know about it a little bit?
A little bit of a surprise.
You suspected something.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Well, we have come to the end of this program. I found it very interesting, and it's really fantastic to see how passionate you are about this project. Is there anything I forgot to ask you, or anything else you would really like to tell us? Then this is the chance. This is the moment.
No, I'd like to thank you again for organizing it. It's really great, and the need is great, and the importance for all of us to keep hammering on it. That we need to do more for more children around the world, and make this a mainstream team for everyone.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to do that, right, Olaf?
We are.
We are, yes. I want to thank you very much for coming to the studio today. Good luck with everything. And you there on the internet, whoever is watching us, thank you so much for watching us, and have a very nice day. And if you want to know more about it, please go to our website. It's in Dutch. It's weekvanhetgeld.nl/studio. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.